Is she the dumbest White House spokesperson that has ever existed in the history of the country? Because, look, I know we went after Little Red Lying Hood, the former spokesperson who's now moved on to MSNBC. And I know there have been dumb White House spokespersons before, right? I'm not pretending that this is, like, uniquely dumb. But it feels to me like, again, I've made this argument before, but it's a great book, Team of Rivals, Doris Kearns' good one, about Abraham Lincoln and the cabinet he put together in 1860. Joe Biden is the worst president in any of our lives, and probably the dumbest president in any of our lives, and maybe the worst communicator in any of our lives. Like, every box that you can check for worst, Joe Biden has done it. And he's managed somehow to pick the worst and dumbest people to represent him in his administration. We have a team of incompetence, the likes of which our nation has ever seen before. I mean, you just heard her try to answer a question, and we got another cut that I'm going to play for you in the next segment, where she was asked about the baby formula shortage, Buck. Have you heard this yet?
Oh, yes.
I mean, and these are not questions that are unexpected, right? Like, it's not like she's going in there and suddenly somebody's saying, hey,
no.
Could you break?
No one's asking who the prime minister of Hungary is on the spot or something, right?
Or even like, hey, tell me the 5 worst trades in the history of sports, and you're like, like you're scrambling. You have no real answer for it because that's not her job. She's being asked every day about the issues that every single one of our listeners is considering, that all of you out there are prepared to have an opinion on, and she can't answer them, Buck. I mean, it's an embarrassment, and increasingly it feels, and I've been making this argument for a while now, but every day it gets more valid, it feels like the Biden administration is tanking for the overall number 1 pick in a sports context, where the incompetence is the goal on some level. I've never seen anything like it, where they're so bad.
I think we have to leave open the possibility that there is no strategy. They're actually just this dumb and incompetent. I think that has... I don't believe that there's some... Look at what they're doing with this, the January 6th and all these things that we knew were coming. None of this stuff is gonna make any difference. And what they're really seeing right now is their decision making. I mean, this is what's, you can talk about different, you can talk about how, in the housing meltdown, for example, Bush got, realistically, honestly, and the Republicans got far more blame for the housing meltdown than they deserved, because anybody who understood the policies of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and it stretches all the way back to, redlining and getting rid of redlining, and there are just decades of housing policy that had changed and had become very, much more social justice oriented. And then it was, of course, commoditized by Wall Street, and they got greedy and everything else. But, Clay, that was decades in the making, the 2008 meltdown. You look at Joe Biden comes into office, you look at the $2 trillion in spending, boom, inflation takes off. You're going to tell me that's a coincidence? People, you look at Democrats putting their progressive prosecutors in the major cities all across America, and the 30% increase in homicides nationwide in 2020. You're going to tell me that's a coincidence? This is cause and effect, which is why it's so damaging to Democrats. People know that they're being lied to.
I don't think there's any doubt. And what we got used to was there was consequence-free behavior, and that was the whole idea. I don't think we can underrate modern monetary theory, this idea, which was embraced by Joe Biden in the early days of his administration, that you could just spend as much money as you possibly wanted and there would be no economic impact. Well, the economic impact is real, and every single one of you are feeling it all day long, and the people who are advocating for Joe Biden administration are the dumbest people in the country, the least qualified and able